Hey gang, welcome back to the Business Broadcast. Are you into franchising? Have you considered franchising part of your business? Well, today we're speaking to a franchisor that's got franchises in Belgium. He's got franchises in Northern Ireland and indeed the United Kingdom. He wants to grow the business, but he's got some challenges. Let's dive in. Hey gang, welcome back to the Business Broadcast. JB and I are here to help you grow your business.
We are indeed. Thank you for listening. Cheers for your ears, as I like to say. We used to say it in Radio Land a lot. 100,000 people listen to this podcast and consume it every month now.
And there's been more than that.
It's a lot of people, isn't it?
It's a lot more than that.
Fourth biggest entrepreneurship show in the UK. I mean, I don't want to bang on about it, but
Yeah, well,
James Martin phoned me last week.
oh, what? Because he's ahead of us.
He's ahead of us in the
I said to
chart.
him, let's see if that continues.
Yeah,
you launch a podcast.
He was loving it. He was like, JB, what does it mean that I'm in the charts? I'm like,
I said, let me go and see if you're on Spotify. Nowhere to be found on Spotify, but we are regularly in the top. In the business and marketing section, we're always very, very high up.
I know.
Today we're speaking to a company called BabyBallers Franchise Limited.
We are.
They've been going 7 to 8 years. Tell us about the business, JB.
So yeah, they are doing between 25 and 40 grand a month, depending on whether the targets have been hit. They have got 3 team members and then they've got ad hoc staff as well. Biggest challenge they have got, which they have emailed in about, is from a franchise point of view, recruitment for the clubs, coaches, and keeping them engaged and retaining them.
Are they the franchisor or the franchisee or both?
They're the franchisor.
So they
maybe
own
they're
the
franchisee as well, but they are the franchisors. So they own the brand.
Fine.
There's Chantel, who's been to some of your events. She is a baby baller.
Fine.
She came to your property event last year, I think. So yes, they've got franchisees in the UK predominantly, but they're also spreading out abroad as well. So the second biggest challenge is finding the franchisees, and the third biggest challenge is keeping control of what the franchisees do. It's a very franchisee focused pod today. We asked them, where do you want to be in 1 year's time? They said, we want to double the growth of the UK. We want to have landed in 2 extra countries as well. We're currently in Belgium, Northern Ireland, England, and Australia. What would the business look like when it's finished? They said it will be across multiple countries, be a world-recognised brand for toddler football. So they do like football sporty clubs. So kids under 6, 7, I think, go and do like the Saturday activities. Do you make the profit you want to make? If so, what is it?
The problem that the baby name in their name. Wonder if that makes people with the 2-year-old go, well, that's not for me. I've got a toddler.
Yeah, maybe. We'll find out in a second. Do you make the profit you want to make? And if so, what is it? It's a no. Last year we made, last year was last year was a 50 grand profit. So I don't know whether that's what they wanted to make or not. Who knows? How do you spend your time day to day in the business? They said we're in it and we're in it too much, but I try to focus on development of the business, being innovative with ideas that could work. My biggest issue is that sometimes it doesn't turn money for us. And then there's a bunch of questions that I'd like to ask you. So I think we've got 2 brothers on the phone today. We've got Rich and Chris. Rich, who is in it every day, and Chris, who's in it a couple of hours a day. And he's doing other stuff as well, I believe. Avid fans of the podcast, though. Literally, Chris was saying, plans his journeys around when the podcast comes out. He might have been pulling my leg. I'm not entirely sure, but maybe he's that much of a mega fan. If he is, fair play. I love it. But before we get on to chatting to these lovely brothers, there's a knock at the door.
Interesting quote of
Let's start with this.
Interesting quote of fact.
Interesting quote of fact.
It's time for the interesting quote of fact of the week.
I've got a great fact here. I asked Instagram earlier. I've got a few really good ones. Ryan P. O'Flaherty. I said, hey, give us your fact. He went, fact. Rachel Reeves is clueless. There you go. Alex Eisted said to me that success is not failure. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It's the courage to continue that counts. So there we go. So we've got a quote and a fact rolled into one. Thanks, Instagrammers who've messaged.
I get quite a few sent in to me as well, but this one I saw on the internet and I actually titled my newsletter this. I just love this little collection of words which I'm about to read to you. Money moves like water. It finds the path of least resistance. Your job is to make your offer the most frictionless path possible. That is how you get more customers.
It's very, very
I'm going to
true,
read it to you one more time
Go
because
on.
I think it's so flipping good. Money moves like water. It finds the path of least resistance. Your job as an entrepreneur is to make your offer the most frictionless path possible. Now, what happens in businesses?
Sorry, I was just going to let
What
it fade
happens? And this is the lesson here, gang. What happens is we, as business owners, management in business, leadership in business, put in processes to protect the business.
Makes sense.
But those protections can be dams to letting the water or the cash flow into your business. So, I think frictionless businesses are always the ones that win the day. Let me give you some examples that were in my newsletter this week. Amazon Prime is it's just so frictionless to do business.
Jeff takes the money out of your pocket so easily, you don't know that you've been digitally mugged by him.
There we go. What's another one that... Hey, there we go. I've completely forgotten all the others that I gave as an example. It's Apple Music. You think about what they did with the iPod. Hey, do you want 1,000 songs in your pocket? You no longer need 1,000 CDs. And you would like to get all your music for what you spend on one latte in a mid-range coffee shop for the month. Get all the music you like with Apple Music.
Netflix, that was another one you gave.
Netflix, you don't want to wait for episode 2 because you've got a meeting next week and you're going to miss... people used to wait for Taggart or...
Taggart? Oh, my God. Showing your age head. Taggart. London's Burning, other Sunday night classics.
Yeah.
London's the Summer of Wine.
Who was the Robbie Coltrane? What was the
Cracker.
He was Cracker. Yeah, you didn't want to wait.
And the Gruffalo. He was Cracker and the Gruffalo.
Was he?
Yeah. You don't know he did the voice of the Gruffalo on the TV show?
No, I did not
on the movie?
That. No, I did not.
Astounding, said the Gruffalo. Do you know that was Robbie Coltrane?
No, I didn't know that.
There you go. You said there's a great summary in your newsletter. I've read it as always. I'm a big fan of it. As a consumer, we don't want resistance. Chances are you're putting resistance in your business. You and your team can't help yourselves in protecting the loot. Trouble is, protecting it is like a big dam stopping the water. Sorry, the cash flowing in. And then there was one of your rubbish jokes to end it.
Oh, read the joke.
In other news, Amazon sent me a notification. Your package has been delivered. Nope. My neighbour's enjoying my new slippers. If you want, you can get James Sinclair's newsletter for
and my
free.
weekly joke.
And your weekly joke
on
your website.
Well, you get weekly personal development and a weekly laugh.
There you go. All in at the same time. There you go. It's very good though. I liked it. Another good one. I liked it when it dropped into my inbox at 7.
Do you think it's better to be at 7 at night or 7 in the morning?
No, it's got to be the morning.
Is it?
Yeah. People are too busy by the time they get
Give me
7
a bit of
o'clock.
extra time.
Sorry, no. Unfortunately not. So there you go. That's our interesting fact or quote of the week.
There we go, gang.
Right, let's get into it. So, BabyBallers.
5 more features before we speak to our guests.
God, we bloody well have normally. Right, let's get on to them. So, shall we? Chris and Rich from BabyBallers. Hey, guys, how you doing?
Hey gang, we're going back to the pod in just a moment, but I wanted to tell you about Entrepreneurs University. This is a platform that I've created for entrepreneurs and business owners that are serious about growth. There's 100 video lessons from me on everything in business, raising finance, buying companies, property investment, and everything in between. Attached to each video is a downloadable PDF that goes into more detail about what we've learned in the video. It goes one step further than that because I've also put stuff that you won't get anywhere else onto Entrepreneurs University. The lessons go into way more detail, but not just that. You're going to get my business plans, my spreadsheets, and all the files that I use to drive the KPIs in my business. Just think about how powerful that could be for your business. And here's the good news. You can try Entrepreneurs University for free. 14-day free trial. After that, it will cost you just $49.99 a month. That's less than a pair of Nikes to grow the profitability in your business. There's a link in the video description, and I cannot wait to see you in Entrepreneurs University.
I'm good. How are yourselves?
We are very well, thank you. Very, very well. Right, so we talked about the business very, very lightly there, but just give us a synopsis, summary, origin story type of thing in your own words in 60 to 90 seconds. Tell us about the business and how it has become to be, please.
Yes, BabyBallers was formed around my little boy, who's now 11. At the age of 16 months, I took him to a club that was similar. Upset And I thought, I think I could do this a little bit better. So I learned what he was learning at preschool, connected my love for football, and put together a session around them age groups. And we stop at 5, so it goes 16 months to 5, for the exact reason of the fact that I believe any child after 5 doesn't really want to be called a baby. So that's as quick as I can give it. But we try and do learning through play. I started it. I did 6 clubs, learned the business, and then my brother Chris, who is here, had a lot of knowledge in franchising, and then we grew from there effectively. So yes, that's it in a nutshell.
Nice. Okay, Chris, what was your expertise in franchising? How did you gain your knowledge in franchising?
Well, yeah, that's their expertise. I at the time I ran a gym, and I set that up as a franchise, and it was a different beast to this one. And we grew kind of sort of number of studios. So it was kind of sort of location based. And I got out of that just around about COVID time and was, came on board and helped Rich, sort of develop the franchise side of BabyBallers. Saw that as a role, BabyBallers out, hiring village halls. It was kind of sort of a lot quicker process. I looked at the numbers of what the, clubs were doing, currently with the BabyBallers, and the numbers were good, both from a part-time and people that have expanded into multiple clubs. And yeah, we're now kind of, 150 clubs scattered about UK, Northern Ireland, 40 over in Belgium, and we had a couple of launch in Australia. So yeah, it's grown since then. But yeah, I assist from, behind the desk on the franchise sort of development side.
Great. Okay. So that gives us a summary. So they are football clubs that help to learn and develop for kids from 16 months to 5 years old. Perfect. And there's 150 clubs there that you mentioned, and they're dotted around the UK and in a number of different countries as well. I reckon let's jump straight into the challenges then, so we can get the most value and pick old Jimbo Sinclair's brain. So your biggest challenge was from a franchise.
Before we do that, can I just ask some questions?
Please,
Hi guys, nice to have you on. I think one of you messaged me on Instagram this morning, and
I did.
My team told me that
on LinkedIn. Yeah.
On LinkedIn, sorry. Yeah. Wow, lovely.
That's right.
If I wanted to buy one of your franchises, what's it going to cost me? What's my investment?
Do you want me to take this, Rich? Take it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the total investments, we obviously sell the territory, sell the areas. So you're looking at around about £10,000 investment, £6,000 sort of franchise fee. Then you've got the other additional costs that relate to kind of the equipment. We allow a bit for marketing, the initial launch, a little bit for working capital, in there to kind of sort of, so the whole package, and you have your kind of sort of territory and area where you can open as many clubs, but the demographics that we give you will allow probably about two clubs within that territory. And then to expand, you would then buy into more areas and territories.
And let me just think about this. What percentage do I have to give you of my income?
So we do it on a flat fee basis, which, in the industry, maybe 10 to 15%, but we do a flat fee, which is currently £149 per month per club that you open and operate.
And what do you get for that? That's just to use the brand.
Use the brand. We're obviously building sort of the systems and the support side of things. So we invested heavily into a portal where we have all, all documents, business documents, marketing material, assets, videos, marketing campaigns that you can kind of sort of just, download. So our investment is into the portal, training manuals, video manuals, for franchisees and their coaches, kind of go onto this, portal, which creates the value. And we also have a business or franchise manager, if you like, who, is there, end of the phone, email, ticketing system, for any franchisee support, business related, marketing related, etc.
So if they do exceptionally well, you still only get 149. And if they fail, in terms of not making any money, you still get 149.
Yeah. I think this is sorry, Chris, go on.
I was just going to say, there is obviously, the capacity to the club. We do it on a per club basis. So a club consists of 3 classes with 20 children in each class. So that you've got the younger age group, 18 months to 2.5, 2.5 to 3.5, and 3.5 to 5. So a club consists of that, and there's 60 children in total paying between £35-40 a month. We have a lot of clubs that are oversubscribed, and also we want to encourage them to open more clubs. So yes, if they do well, you're looking at maybe around about sort of 7% of their kind of sort of, turnover. And the ones less, obviously on a percentage side, I think will be paying a fraction more from.
And do they process the payments through you, or do they do that themselves?
No. So we have a sort of third party sort of software booking system. It's all collected through Stripe or monthly monthly standing orders really. So it doesn't come through us, but we have management of that system and can see exactly who's signed up, what the revenue is, etc.
We do also, James, we do also do like a separate class. So if people have additional classes, then there's obviously an extra revenue on our side. So people, for instance, if they are oversubscribed, then there's obviously an extra class added. So it might be 2 baby ballers classes, 1 mini ballers and 1 ballers. And that will be paid for that extra class effectively.
Cool. Okay. I understand. Carry on, JB.
Sorry, right. Let's get on to the challenge then. So, you said the biggest challenge being from a franchisee point of view, recruitment for the club's coaches and keeping them engaged and retaining them. Can you please give us a bit more detail on that, fellas?
Yeah, I'll happily do that one. So, because our franchise is effectively a part-time, a majority of the people that come on, they have a full-time job and they buy into us as a part-time, which means if they aren't coaching it, so say they've got 2 clubs they want to operate on a Saturday, 2 clubs on a Saturday, then they will employ part-time staff. That is obviously where you'll find that, because they're part-time, you'll be let down a lot, for instance. So if they're going to open multiple clubs, their headache can rise like double, triple. We've got that situation in Belgium as we speak. They've hit 46 clubs they're on. But last minute a coach calls in sick or on 3 different clubs, then that needs to be covered, or them clubs needs to be cancelled. That's going to stop their growth, and that's a big issue for us. And I was over there the other week, just speaking to them and saying, trying to work out how we can have a solution to this so we can help them grow. And that is, that's UK based as well, and also in Northern Ireland, they're effectively a developer. They're looking to get to about 30 to 50 clubs, but they encounter the similar issue, if that makes sense.
I think
so what's the ask? How do you? I mean, yeah. Go on. So what's the issue? Is your staff letting you down?
How do we maintain these staff that are on part time?
I think just to add to that is, I suppose it's more of a franchisee challenge, but it follows. It comes to us because they want to grow. We get a franchisee on board that opens a club, and they're the franchisee is involved in that club, and it does well because you've got the owner operator there pushing and coaching. They want to expand. Then, you're getting in, 18, 20-year-old that wants to come in and coach. Fine, great. And as you start to expand their role is turning up for 2 hours on a Saturday morning at Village Hall to deliver that. If the franchisee is present, it's fine, not a problem. But if they've got kind of 5 or 6 clubs and, a couple of coaches go into these clubs, the franchisee can't be present. So you get 2 or 3 people, may let you down, and that club doesn't open. So it's the franchisee's fear factor of how do you get those reliable, responsible coaches to come in to and keep the business kind of sort of growing. Either we have to, I suppose, recruit just owner operator franchisees, and it's a part-time model. But we've got franchisees like Belgium, like Northern Ireland, that want to, get these more and more clubs open, which is good for us. But the challenge is getting the the right coaches that have got that kind of mindset that this is what they want to do, but it's a high turnover of coaches.
I'll dive in now. I understand. Yep. I think that will always be a challenge as someone that employs lots of young people that, their lifestyle might want to come first, or they might not want to work those sorts of weekends. These are profitable jobs, franchisees. For franchises to work, you need to own one of two things, and preferably both, and that's brand and land. If you own the land where the franchisee operates from, you have much more control, or the lease where they operate from, you have much more control, and you can tell the franchises, this is the way we want to do it, or you're not operating on our land, i.e. McDonald's. The second thing is you have a brand that's so powerful, people are scared of losing it. Costa, Starbucks, Virgin, Disney. If you franchise with them, that brand is so powerful that you might not necessarily need the land. But McDonald's has both. They have a powerful brand that people want to buy into, and they also own the land that the franchisees operate out of. So therefore, the franchisees do exactly as they're told. Now, those brands, take multi-decades to build. And then what you want to do is make your business as high a barrier to entry as possible as you go forward. Now, I used to have a business like this. It was called the Partyman Company. It was an entertainment agency, and we used to, put out entertainers to go and do kids' parties, and they would earn more money probably than you, so you would get that next level up. But I found it extremely difficult to do things where you was doing effectively pop-up businesses on someone else's land, and it is difficult, and that's why you need owner-managed situations, and that's where the franchise comes in perfectly. I think it's going to be very difficult there'll be some unicorns, but let's look at the rule. And unfortunately, I think the rule is that this is micro businesses, and you need lots of them to make some money.
Do you think it's full time then, James? Do you think that we should be offering our franchises a full time basis only? Because
what your franchisees also have a problem with is that they'll get some superstars that run these football classes, and then they'll start nicking their customers, and that's what happened to me. I'm not talking. So your franchisee set up, they get a young bright thing that's got bags of personality. They start running a football school in a village hall. I'm sure you've had this already. And then they go, oh, can't we just pay you? And you set up your own thing, and they set up something called Football Frenzy. I don't know. And so your franchisee gets done over by their staff. And I'm sure that's already happened to you. I had it happen to me so much. And there's not really a contract in the land that sort of protects you for something for such little value. If you've got a McDonald's franchise and it's a multi-million-pound contract, let's go to court. But when it's, do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, 100%. And yes, you get those kind of sort of coaches that, or franchisees have, try and done that. I think there's an element, especially in sort of the Southeast with the brand but it's like back in the gyms and the classes and stuff. It comes down to the quality of and the delivery, which people kind of sort of, I suppose, buy into. So, yes, it's a challenge for the franchisees. Yeah.
So what I would be looking at this business, how do I make it as high a barrier to entry as possible? Well, I would make sure that you have the best insurance so that people buy their insurance through you, and that village halls and the clubs that you go to only want that high insurance, so that there's that barrier to entry that people, anything like that makes it, you collect the payments, and, there's incentives. You go and get contracts with David Lloyd's or with big clubs or big private schools where you hold the contract that they will only get in because it's a BabyBallers contract. Anything that makes you a higher barrier to entry, so that you can then employ people full time to go and do stuff. You can employ a teacher full time. And this is the thing. Yeah, we own Camp Beaumont. This is a very similar business. It's not similar, but there are similarities. Camp Beaumont only operates in high-end independent private schools around the world. And those schools only want to work with us because we have the maximum insurance policy. We have the brand that's old enough. we're going to put more CapEx stuff into there so that we have the most unique equipment in the marketplace. Again, that makes some of the people that work for us thinking, well, I can't, or our competitors think, well, we can't just go and do what they're doing. They're doing it on a much higher scale. And that is the problem with pop-up events. You've got to make yourself high barrier to entry.
Okay.
And
I think
even little wins make a big difference.
Okay.
I mean, but really, I mean, that's in the broad sense. But your question was, how do you get young people to, be committed and do stuff? I mean, if this was mine, I would probably set it up as an education business, going in and providing PE lessons to schools so that I can employ full-time people. So I would say to BabyBallers, North Essex, right, go and find 4 schools where you provide their PE lessons. Then you employ someone full-time that then can do the weekend courses, the classes. I would be thinking like that to try and make my business so stable and not pop-uppy. Does that make sense?
Mm.
No, that's how I think.
I mean, it's. I understand like the pop-up kind of view. I think obviously these are running every Saturday, every week, and we obviously we did look at schools, but obviously with these age groups, we're normally looking at probably just preschool, right? So we're not going into.
Well, no, but I mean, but you asked me. You got people not turning up at weekends. How would I solve it? I would make sure that you give people full-time contracts so that they are working with you. And then I would put them even in at schools, doing older kids, finding them other things to do. So they have, I think it's with all of my businesses. I've got an ice cream company. No one wants to buy ice cream in November, December, January and February. We set up a bakery and the people that make the ice cream then work in the bakery in the winter. Yes, you have to make it fit. If that's a constant problem, if it is a constant problem that people are not turning up for weekends because it's just such part-time stuff, how can you solve that? Well, you make the job higher barrier to entry. It's now a full-time salary. Let's try and work out ways where we can innovate the product so that it's easier to run. You look at McDonald's and go, right, we're selling loads of burgers and eat stuff at the evenings. We've got these assets not doing anything in the morning. Let's become the largest, and they are the largest supplier of coffee in the world, even above Starbucks. So there are ways of innovating the product to make it more regular cash flow. When anything's more regular, people are more loyal. They do more stuff for you. A teacher that works full-time will have a lot less sick days because they care. There's a relationship that's being built there over time and time and time.
Yeah.
And sometimes you need to remove yourself. Maybe you need to go and buy a couple of other franchisees that, I don't know, Football Frenzy for older kids that does football for older kids so that you can give people more hours so they have. And this is the thing, by the way, this is going to start happening. And certainly what I'm seeing with this government, this part-time work thing is becoming less and less. And, and this gig economy work, the government are making it very difficult to give people short contracts and stuff like that. And they want to make that more intense over the next 3 or 4 years. It might not happen, but if I was running this business and I'm running my businesses, that's definitely in my personal mindset on how to deal with that.
Do you not think, Joe, tweaking the franchise model, as I said, at the moment, we're recruiting, we have individual franchisees that will do it, they work 9 to 5. They have a small territory and they run a club on a Saturday and run a club on a Sunday. They don't have this issue because, they're delivering the session. So they're turning up Saturday. They might have someone else to help them on Sunday. They may just run the one club and they're relative, they're successful. In terms of percentages, our most successful one is, they've got three clubs. They're 100% subscribed, and they've got a waiting list. I think of about sort of 30, 40 children, and the feedback and everything because the franchisee is delivering that session. So, I suppose the other consideration was to. Okay, look, that is the model rather than trying to kind of, allow franchisees to kind of sort of go into, it becomes more of a management model and a different kind of.
That's what I would be doing. What you've just said there is probably what I would be doing if this was mine. But that wasn't the question. The challenge you told us, it was you're not getting people to turn up to work. and our franchisees have problems with that. So I was prescribing the solution to that problem if it was mine.
Mm-hmm.
But the other option is do what you just said and just say, no, you franchisees, you need to run it. That's the way this model works.
And then cap it on size, and that is the model. Okay.
What's the charge for a parent for their kid to go each week?
We cap it at £40 per month. £40 per month. So we can put it at a maximum at 40. A majority are normally sitting around £35, and then we manufacture kits. Or get the kits made, and there's a sign-up fee that includes the full kit and a little welcome pack and drawstring bag.
So do the parents pay per session, or do they pay per month in advance?
Per month on subscriptions.
Right, gotcha.
Yeah.
And we get the
cost
subscriptions
depends
from the
on how many
franchise.
clubs that they go to. What would be the difference between sort of the 30 quid and the 40 quid? How many they go to?
It's very much dependent on the area, to be honest with you. But it varies between £35 to £40 per month. But yes, it's not dependent on how many clubs they go to. That is that they'll only pay for, if it's a Saturday, normally they'll only ever go to the Saturday club once a week.
Gotcha.
And they pay for the month.
So so effectively it's £10 a session then.
Effectively, yes.
Gotcha. So you're saying there's 20 kids in a session. If it's maxed out, it's 20 kids in a session. So the owner operator can be making 200 quid a session. They can run 3 sessions. So they can do 600 quid a day. Really?
They'll pay. Yeah, they'll have 60 children on monthly subscriptions of £40. So yeah, the £2,400 of revenue coming in for one club operating for 2 hours. And this was the appeal to get involved, because some franchisee, they were making kind of sort of 50% profit, and franchisees walking away with £1,200 for 2 hours on a Saturday morning, 2.5 hours on a Saturday morning, probably about 2 to 3 hours of admin during the week. So clubs at those sort of 60 times 40 are doing well. Like I said, the guys that we've got, Bishop Stortford Way, three classes at capacity, and still in full-time job. But yeah, so then they want, we have franchisees that get to that stage, then they want to expand and they buy into more territories. But then the quality, I suppose, that's when it starts getting diluted, and there's that sort of ceiling that they can get to.
There you go. Well, I don't know really. I mean, that's.
It's got to be an occupier done, hasn't it?
It is an owner. That's
operator.
the point of why these businesses need to be owner occupied. It's very, it is not. It's not. They're only ever going to be part-time stuff, and that's probably. And if you'll always have the unicorn franchise that will end up running lots of classes, and that's not most business owners. They're probably much more entrepreneurial. Most people are just saying, "No, I just want a couple of grand extra a month." And what you're trying to do is, say, we want the really ambitious people and the people that just want to earn a couple of grand a month. And over time, you will find your way of, you'll have master franchises that will end, and you'll do different messages for each one, so that you.
Yeah, well, I mean,
sense there.
Yeah, and that's the guys in Belgium who said, Rich said that they've got sort of 40 or so locations. They want to get to, they've got the space and capacity to get to 200, and now and they want to go into Holland as well as a master. But that then dilutes the flow from their franchisee to master franchisor to us, and providing the support, etc. for them. So that's kind of the challenges in terms of kind of sort of our growth with existing franchisee.
Cool.
the second challenge you said was finding franchisees. So are you struggling with that sort of things as well?
I think recruitment's got a lot harder. I mean, Chris can probably give you a bit more information on the basis that he's been in franchising longer. But I'll give you an example. We used to do all the franchise shows. This year we didn't. I went to a franchise show, and it was actually, from when we started, it was about a third in size from the time when we did it, which is interesting. So I don't know whether it's franchises getting a lot more popular, but I think finding the right people for us is a challenge, and where we're finding them. I don't know what you think, Chris, but that's what we often find as a challenge. Obviously, you have your general your websites that we're on, but yeah, I think finding them, getting out, and getting the right people is definitely one of our challenges.
We do sort of the franchise. We've done some franchise shows, which is kind of sort of big investment, I suppose. But yeah, you're going to get that return even if you kind of sort of get one over the line. Run some Google ads, which generate people searching for low cost franchise, part time franchise, that kind of thing. And then the franchise directories that we're all on. Franchise Direct and others, and we do sort of the emails and the campaigns out to that database. So it generates, but it's I think we were during COVID or coming out of COVID, that's where we grew quite a bit, because you've got people changing careers, getting extra money and capital.
There was so much money around. That's why we got inflation.
Yeah, so
people were buying stuff that they never would have bought before because the government were giving them free money, and that's probably why everyone benefited. I mean, running my businesses in COVID, I've never known anything so easy.
Yeah.
And we were getting people booked to come to Marsh Farm 6 weeks in advance. It's unbelievable for a day out at a farm park. It was just, that is not normal behaviour, and that's now all gone back to people doing the day before or paying on the day. Interesting, really interesting. I was speaking to a theme park operator. They've taken double the amount of cash again this year compared to last year.
Really?
Yeah. So people, that shows people are really budgeting and watching what they're doing with their pennies. I mean, yes, Google ads, Facebook ads, Virgin Startup, all them startup loan companies, people that want to start their own business, all of that stuff, getting on podcasts, direct mail, all of those things. I do think exhibitions still have their place as well.
Yeah.
What's Matt? Sorry, James. The mad thing about going to exhibitions, I did the last one, and I often, I'd be speaking to someone for a good half an hour, and actually a big percentage of these people that are in these exhibitions actually came to try and sell to me. That was and it was like a big 50, I would say 50% of the people that were there that were talking was trying to sell something to me, be it a new software, and I think that was my cue to go, do you know what? But you are probably right. It's something that we need to get back involved with.
If you're doing an exhibition, if you're not speaking at it, you shouldn't go to it. You must do a speaking presentation. I mean, I will never do an exhibition unless I'm keynoting at it or one of my team are keynoting at it. Mm-hmm. But then do your own seminars, do your own exhibitions, hire a hotel and, send out direct mail to people that have shown interest to you and say, look, come to our discovery day, come to our seminar day, and you get all your best franchisees that have done well with you, and they're giving you natural testimonials. This is the community that we build. This is what you can achieve. And that's what I would be doing. And I would take that on tour in 8 locations around the country so that most people can come to you. You only need 25. I mean, the less people in the room, more success rate you'll have, by the way, as well. If you have 500 people in the room, probably won't sign up that many people, but you get 25 people in the room and they spend all day with you. That can be very, very powerful.
Yes, that's a great idea, actually. I like that. We'll get on that.
There's a if you message me on Instagram, there's a guy that I know that really understands setting up franchises and recruiting franchises for in this space. He was, that was his job. If you message me on Instagram, I'll make an intro to him for you.
And that'd be great. Thank you. Superb. Okay,
cool. And the third challenge?
I've also just quickly downloaded your guide. I think you guys need to be a bit more selly with what they actually get, because I'm having to go quite a few pages down before I get to what I'm going to make and what it's going to cost me. There's a lot of stuff about the company and how it started and the origin story, which, again, from your perspective, because you're in it, is important. But very quickly, I think you need to be saying you can earn up to X, Y, Z. If we looked at, if it's the 3 sessions a week and they're all maxed out, it's 600 quid a week, 2,400 per month. So, would you like to earn 28,000, an additional 28 grand a year with 1 day a week, and need some more salesy messaging around it? I think just as I've just skipped through it very quickly there, by the way. But that jumps off the page quite quickly. Just thought I'd add that. Third biggest challenge is franchisees again, Jimbo. You'll be unsurprised to find out. Keeping control of what the franchisees do.
Yeah, well, that's brand and land. That's it comes back to the, with him, everything is about, because how many people have said, no, I'm just going to do this myself, and they've gone off and set it up on their own?
Not many. I mean, one of our most recent franchisees, he actually worked for another company and come to us, even though he knew the model, he knew how to work it.
So what is the frustration? They're not doing as they're told and making up their own rules.
I think the frustration. I mean, Chris, you might want to express more on this, but I think my frustration is them understanding what a franchise is, and maybe that's more on our part right at the beginning.
That's why those discovery days are so important, getting them all together.
I think you're right. Yeah,
a 90-day meetups. You think of yourself like you're running a religion. Why do religions meet up every week? Why do they have church every Sunday? I mean, anyone that goes to church, it's going to be the same stuff as last week. No news, no change. Why do schools have assemblies, every morning or 3 times a week? Why do they do this stuff? Make sure your tie's at a certain level, make sure your shirt's tucked in, all of this stuff that schools hammer in, stand up when the teacher walks in, they're hammering home culture. Why does the army have roll call every morning? All of this stuff is to make sure that the habits that you want stay in place.
Yeah. No, correct. I think obviously doing these regular seminars would be very beneficial.
And they will make more money because you do awards for the best people. You create competition within.
That's something that we're kind of working on internally at the moment on that side. But yeah, for sure. I mean, that's something that we need to look at on a regular basis. I believe so, because that would counteract the issue that we face. Maybe there's more information that we can give, and we're obviously going to be able to give that. And not only that, I suppose from doing them, we're going to find out a lot more about them, right? Which is as much as I suppose we're selling to them. Really, we want them to sell to us because we want the right people on board. So yeah, interesting.
It's this, lots of franchisors are frustrated with their franchise businesses. And I've coached loads when I was coaching back in the day. They were all really frustrated, and the ones that I come across that really love it are people that own a KFC franchise, a Domino's franchise, or a McDonald's franchise, where it's really high barrier to entry. You want a McDonald's franchise? Have you got $1 million liquid or something like that? They're getting these next level up of people. Lots of these people, this is their first rodeo of being a business owner. They've been employed. It's all been lovely. And you've got to coach them. You've got to look after them. It might take 3, 4, 5 years to get them into the place there you want to get them. They just say, well, I've bought the franchise. Why am I not a millionaire overnight? Why is this so hard? You have to get some guest speakers along that, so it's not just you saying it. This is really, really where you've got to turn them into business owners and coach them to be successful business owners.
Yeah, and I think that is obviously the challenge, but that will come from what you've originally said at the beginning, I guess, right?
Do you know what I'd do as well? I'd make a little, almost like a mastermind. I'd get all of your best franchisees, because you guys, as the owners of this whole thing, have a view on how it should work.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's the realities of it out on the ground, and realities of booking the village hall, and the booking, the realities of, their support team member didn't turn up or whatever it may be. So your guys who you mentioned that have got the 3 sessions a week, they're booked out, they've got 40 people on a waiting list. I would get the best 10 franchisees together. I'd take them to a hotel for like a weekend, not in a weird way. And then I would just mine them for information on what they could do to make what they think the business should be.
Well, there should be conferences for all of franchises every single year.
But take your best ones to get the ideas, because I think also, because what people really buy into with why does McDonald's work so well? Because they've got the brand and land, as Jimbo says. Why does KFC, why does Subway work so well? Then equally, why do things like there's like the grass cutting one that I always see, and they all seem to be killing it because they know how to get the clients.
But talking about
customers.
Subway, I mean, just say Subway isn't. There's lots of frustrated franchisees in Subway. They're not getting the revenues like a McDonald's. Average McDonald's store is £2.5 million per store. It's £250,000 per Subway.
Wow.
So that's why they're frustrated. When there's £2.5 million per store knocking around, everyone's feeling a lot better about themselves. And I think there's something that JB just said there. What would be really good is your top 10 franchisees. You would incentivize them to become the franchise manager of other franchises that you sign up. And you say, so you create a system where there's continual mentorship within. So you say, look, once you're really successful, we offer a system where you can look after 5 other franchisees, and we give you a percentage of some of that revenue, so that they're pushing them to sign up more classes. They're more successful, so they never leave.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I mean, it's what education does. It's what all these, religions do. You don't become a cardinal. First of all, cardinals are coaching the archbishops are coaching the priests, and you're working your way up to hopefully be Pope Francis.
It's a weird analogy you use.
No, but it's to say, there is a coaching and mentorship thing in most successful organisations.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
And it's impossible for you to do it all yourself, but definitely making them meet up. This is our annual seminar. You need to come to it. We're going to give you marketing results. We're going to give you where we're planning on driving on a marketing spend next year, and get them overnight. If they stay overnight, they're more sticky to the brand. It's really important. And choose a country hotel, not one in a city centre, so that you force people to stay with you. You feed them at lunch, you feed them at dinner. This is so that they're not leaving the space, and this is how you build community.
Yeah.
I mean, the last thing you want to do is bloody do it in Las Vegas, where everyone's like, I can't wait till the conference is over and they all go off.
Smashed.
So you want to be doing it in places where people stay, and the best community building's done in the evening.
Yeah. Okay. No, I like that. It's good. We can definitely look at that.
Well, I think I'm just looking at your questions here that you've submitted as well, fellas. I think we've probably covered them all off, haven't we? Realistically, best way to recruit franchise. There's one that we'll ask just to wrap up here. That how can we turn more profit without the franchisees just seeing it as lining our own pockets?
Well, this is the other big problem that. But I don't think people feel that about if they've got a McDonald's franchise.
No.
So you've just got to be so good that people need you, and they don't worry about that.
Yeah, I think on a whole,
and I think you worry about that more than you need to. They only stay that if they're dissatisfied, if they're not doing well. If they're doing really well, they won't care if you're doing really well.
Yeah.
If they're failing and you're winning, that's when the discord comes.
I think that's the nature of our business, because actually when the clubs are doing really well, actually it's quite quiet out our end, it's only when maybe it's a bit of a quieter time, which obviously McDonald's and the likes of them don't have that issue, I suppose. So yeah, I suppose that's yes.
Good stuff. Well, gang, you guys, look, you've got lots of stuff to do. You're well on your way. I mean, look, this is a highly critical thing, and we're looking for the wins on already, something on its way. So, we're looking for them 1% improvements. But as we all know, then 1% little wins can, really make a big difference once they're compounded.
Yeah, definitely.
Before we wrap up then, guys, if there is somebody who is listening in and they think, do you know what, I'd like an additional £28,800 a month, which is what it is, by the way, a year, which is what they'd have if they had 3 sessions filled up 3 times a week. Where should they be going for more information about becoming a franchisee?
So they can jump onto BabyBallers.com under franchising. Or there is also info@babyballers.com to email, but under the franchisee section on our website, fill in that form that comes through to us, and then all the information can go straight across to them, and we will be in touch.
Awesome stuff. Thank you very much for your time, Rich and Chris, and good luck with everything. We look forward to BabyBallers blooming into nationwide and international success. Thanks for being on the pod, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Take care.
Cheers.
There you go. Rich and Chris, all the way from BabyBallers. You don't like franchisees, do you? You don't like a
No,
franchise
I think
as a
it's
model.
good if you're a high barrier to entry and it's brand and that. I mean, I've obviously thought about it loads with Partyman World and Twizzletops, and it's. I think there's a lot of satisfied millionaires that own McDonald's franchises.
Mm. The thing that people really want with a franchise is the big
Shortcut.
Yeah, it's a shortcut, isn't it? They want the big
all
known.
human beings
They
want.
want the big known name above the door, or they want the system to go and to duplicate. And what I find with a lot of franchisors is they haven't actually got a roadmap. Like, follow these 10 things, and this will be your outcome. And that is the challenge with it, isn't it?
But look, franchising does definitely. I mean, there's many ways of franchise, or quite big ways. Lots of people go to like Primark, think, oh, we want to sell more children's clothes. Let's go and franchise the Disney brand and create a Disney line, and that's absolutely worked for Primark.
That's more of a license than a franchise, though, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I mean that's essentially what they're doing. Though. You're putting that brand on that T-shirt will sell a lot more because there's a picture of Mickey Mouse on there, or whatever the case may be. Paulton's Park putting Peppa Pig World in. That's a licensing franchisee. Deal that's took their visitor numbers from 500,000 a year to 1.1 million a year overnight.
Wow!
But in those scenarios that I've just explained, they are proper brands.
Yes.
And it's the proper brand that makes people toe the line, and they're more successful.
Yeah.
I mean, that example I've just given of Poulton's Park, one of the best privately owned theme parks in this country, the Peppa Pig franchise absolutely worked for Poulton's Park instantly.
Yeah.
Instantly worked for them.
Brand recognition.
And Poulton's Park would do exactly what Peppa Pig tell of them.
Yes.
Because they don't want to lose that brand.
Yeah.
Because it's working for them. And it's a winner-winner chicken dinner moment.
Trick it off things franchises.
Winner-winner pork dinner moment.
Yeah, pork dinner. That's exactly right. Right. So the 8 Traits of the Greats.
Let's do it.
The show where James Sinclair, award-winning entrepreneur, global retail.
We're thinking with the end in mind as number 1. What are we going with? I think they do, actually.
Go on then.
Yeah.
Go on and let them have it.
Number 1, thinking with the end in mind. Number 2, passionate about their cause. I think they're passionate about it.
They love a bit of
Untold amounts of resilience. I think we should give that.
Do you think so? Okay, fine.
They innovate or they evaporate.
No, I don't think they can have that.
Okay. Commercial awareness.
We didn't really find out, did we? But we don't know, so we can't give it to them.
Okay, there we go. Relationships with people. We don't know, do we? So we give it a half.
Yeah.
Well, we don't know. We give it a half. Master marketeers.
No, I wouldn't say so.
But they do stay teachable.
They
So
do
there we
indeed.
go. There's 4.5. Good score.
4.5. Not half. Not
4.5.
half. 4.5. They're halfway. Hey, not to be sniffed at. 150
Not to be
clubs
sniffed at.
around the country.
No.
Internationally.
No. But with a few tweaks, they could do
Yeah.
some good scorings.
Do you think that franchisors?
I'm hungry.
use
I would like to have some lunch, so
franchising-
stop asking me
No,
questions.
sorry. But do you think they use it? You know, like people like franchise because it's a shortcut. Do you think franchisors also do it because it's a shortcut?
Yes, absolutely.
Because actually, if you look at the numbers that they've got, I was sitting there working out, I was thinking, if you do a filled up session, it's 200 quid.
this
you're
is a
paying,
very difficult business to
You're
scale.
paying a kid 20 quid to go and run that session, aren't you?
So difficult to scale.
Yeah.
That's why it needs to be franchised.
Fine, there you go. Right, brilliant. Thanks, Chuds. It's now time for this. Before
It's
we
Jim
go.
versus JB on the quiz that's businessy.
That's right.
Business knowledge
And it's fun.
Which one's clever and which one's dumb?
Izzy Wizzy. Let's get quizzy.
quizzy.
Right, this is the business quiz. We talk about a statistic about the sector or conversation that we've just had. On average, how much do UK parents spend on extracurricular activities for children aged 4 to 18, music, sports, arts, etc.? So on average, how much do parents spend on extracurricular activities for children aged 4 to 18? Is this an annual thing? Is this a monthly thing?
Between
Sorry.
those ages. So
that
how
per
much
child?
would a family spend
Oh, in
for
total
their child from
wow.
4 or whatever it says to 18?
Per year?
No, how
In
much
total,
would they spend?
across their lifetime? So within the
In their
14
lifetime.
years,
No, not their lifetime. The years listed.
4 to 18. So 14 years. Within 14
How much would
years.
someone spend on average?
Blimey.
How many
If they're
clubs are
going-
yours at?
If they're going horse riding, ours do 3 a week.
Ours do none, but Harvey has he's going to start football. He has done band. Yeah. Well,
We do that one of them is an
After
after
school
school club.
club,
He does an
yeah,
after school
yeah.
club, and then they both go and play baseball. So that is
per child. Is it per child or family?
on average. This could be per child, I reckon.
Per child. I'm going 50,000
It's 18.
at least. Probably
18.
more than that.
I'm just going to throw something in the works here. You've got to think about all the families that don't.
I don't.
What's 1,800 times 4? That's what I want to know. So
There's lots of families that do everything and lots of families that
oh
unfortunately
my God, we know
don't
some.
do anything.
One of my school dad mates, his entire weekend, they do tennis twice, football on a Saturday, football on a Sunday. He takes some bloody skateboarding lessons. Here's one for you, Chuds. Skateboarding lessons. Have you ever heard of such a thing? You never had that up in Skeggy, did you? In the 90s.
I know someone that's a skateboard coach. Yeah.
Fine. Ruined that, didn't you, for me?
But we're saying this is over a
14-year period.
14-year period.
I'm going to go £26,000.
But we're saying the average family, aren't we? So there's
So the
usually
average
1 or
family.
2, 3
I'm going
kids.
60 quid a month, 12 months of the year, 1,800 quid a year, 14 years, 25,000. So I'll go 26 grand. That's my workers out and I'm sticking with it. And I bet I'm well off. What have you gone for?
50k.
50k. You're so hungry you don't care at this point, didn't you? The answer is... The answer is £14,500. Football is... Oh, he's had a triple win today. Yeah, baby. Have your spoon.
I don't think you won the last one.
Yeah, didn't
No,
I?
you won the first one, not
okay.
the second one.
Shut up, Chuds. Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. Have your spoon. Shut up. Football is the most popular activity in this age group, unsurprisingly. Sport is the most popular extracurricular activity with nearly 50% of youth taking part. The southwest of England have the highest level of participation in extracurricular activities. So I'll tell you what, these guys have knocked it off in Essex. They need to get themselves down the southwest.
What the problem with that is that's not good news for them. If that is the average over a 14-year period, there's only 14.5 grand to grab.
Yeah.
It's not a lot, is it?
It's not a big market to chase down, is it? Well, there you go. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of the podcast.
Make sure you like, subscribe, wherever you're listening or watching. We're on Spotify, we're on Apple, we're on YouTube.
We're on all those good places, aren't we? You can still get your tickets to business.
If you want to come see me live at Business Masterclass, big 2-day event in London to help grow your business, buying companies, raising finance, growing profitability, building great teams, it's all there. Tickets and details on my website, jamessinclair.net. Lots of love. See you in the next one.
Ta-da!